What's up, Internet? It's Will Shocker on a mission to shock the world with fantastic content. And today I thought I'd do a little bit of talking about Albion Online because I have such mixed feelings about this game. On one hand, I think it's truly incredible what they've managed to do. I think this is like one of the best games, one of the best MMOs on the market. Um, because of the player driven economy, the guild versus guild, the PvP, the faction wars, the solo PvP and the group PvP. Like there's so much here, and I'm conflicted because it's also not a very popular game, right? Josh Strife Hayes just recently played through it, and he did the Crucible, and he put it down and decided that the game wasn't for him. And I think that is basically going to be the loop that most people are stuck in with this game. Because, let's be honest, nobody's going to max the entire Destiny board. I am trying, but I'm still several nodes away. I have a lot of 100s. I don't have a lot of 120s yet. But anyway, the point is, nobody cares about the Destiny board. It's really like, it's not the same as RuneScape skills where it feels like this grand accomplishment for getting to level 99 or whatever. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. You got to level 100, you're 40% stronger or something. And it just doesn't really matter. It doesn't feel impactful. And I think Albion is so on rails that it's really hard to feel the differences in power and wealth, and it's really difficult to like figure out where you are in the ecosystem. But the reality is most people are going to be stuck at the bottom forever. Like I still can't afford to risk 8.3 gear, and I've been playing for many days. um let's see, where's my buy orders? Let's do these. Let's buy 200 of these because they are the most profitable item to farm in Carlian right now. And I'm getting off topic, but basically Albion's not a very popular game. A lot of people quit the game before it starts really clicking for them, and it's a shame because there really is so much going on here, and the game has a lot to offer, on its own. um, there's different activities for all sorts of different play styles. There's hundreds of different builds, thousands of different builds you could try. So you never run out of things to do in that sense. Um, the player population, 300,000 is not bad. When RuneScape was 10 years old, it only had about 250,000 players. So Albion, for its age, is not that bad. I think in another 10 years maybe that number will climb up to 500,000, 600,000. That's a good estimate. The population might double. um and that would be cool. Having just under a million players on Albion is no small feat. But then the opposite could happen. The game could reduce in players because some other game enters the market and offers something similar, but somehow does it better. I'm thinking the Riot MMO might be able to do that. I'm thinking the Pokemon MMO might be able to do that. And I'm just I'm placing my bets that there's not going to be any game that replaces Albion anytime soon. And so I'm kind of going all in as an Albion creator and saying, hey, this is the game that I want to play right now. And I think it still has lots of potential for the future. The Dragon update is coming out. The PvP meta is always being more balanced and refined. Broadsword and shield is meta for now, for crying out loud. All sorts of different things are possible with this game. The economy is really good. The gold price is going down. Premium price is going down. Which could be a sign of market weaknesses, but I don't really know. Like, I don't really know the inner workings of that. But Suffice to say, I have a lot of confidence in this game. I think it's going to continue to be a rewarding and engaging experience for everybody that plays. But you really have to give it time. You really have to say, I'm going to put 100 hours in, 1,000 hours in, and see where you go from there. I mean, it wants to be a lifelong game, too. It wants to basically be your second home, with several things. One, you progress pretty slowly. You have to do a lot of grinding to get somewhere in this game. You have to stay on top of your economy for a very long time. For a good example of that is the player island, where you can invest in the island, but it's not going to pay for itself right away. It's actually going to pay for itself over the course of several months. So you make that investment into the island, you play for several months, you finally turn a profit on the island, and then all of a sudden you're, making 1, 2, 3 million silver a day with your economy. And a lot of players miss that. There's a lot of free players that don't bother with islands. There's a lot of people that, just play for the short term fun of the arenas, or um, just not really doing the economy stuff. And I think that's a whole missed opportunity. But what I'm trying to get at is, the players aren't going to be tremendously engaged in this source material. And without that high level of engagement, then it's not going to be very uh, practical for me to continue making Albion content, because the interest just isn't going to be there. It's not going to stay. I think the game has something atrocious, like a 99% turnover rate. Um, and that's data that I collected from launching a guild in the past, because about 99% of people didn't stay in the guild. They quit, or they tried for a few weeks, they put it down, stuff like that. Stuff like that. Uh, Now, I do think the game has staying power for people who really want to put in the grind, but I don't think that most people are that. I don't think most people are willing to do the Destiny board. I don't think most people are willing to grind. I don't think most people are interested in leveling up or getting any progress or meaningful progress in the game. I think they just want, Fortnite or Minecraft or whatever. There are lots of instant gratification games that outcompete Albion, because Albion is not an instant gratification game. It can be. It can be. If you just want to run around faction wars and 4 point flat and be a rat for half a day, then you can do that. It is a sandbox after all. You can play the way you want to, but ultimately, what I think happens is people keep a relatively low level of commitment to the game. And so if you have, hundreds of thousands of people who have a low level of commitment to the game, then you're going to be seeing, lackluster returns on your investment as a creator. Because whether I like it or not, I am investing my time here, and I value my time quite highly. Um, I would rather be doing this than, say, the next 5 to 10 activities that you can name off the top of your head, put together, probably, because of how much I like this game. So I would rather never learn to play the piano. I would rather never be good at League of Legends. I'd rather, you know, uh, never start a small business building websites or whatever. I would rather never do, the next several things that come to mind, um, more than I would prefer to play Albion. And I think the reason for that is I have a sort of vision for myself. I have a vision of myself being a good guild leader, competent in the black zones, constantly fighting off, ZVZ opponents, um, recruiting the best talent, training the best talent, becoming wildly wealthy and successful past the what's realistic for most people. Um, and I just have that, this big vision, And honestly, I don't think I'm going to realize most of that vision, especially not while I'm working a full time job. I think Albion is a game that it will give you something back for the time that you put into it, but it also, if you want to accomplish certain things, you have to put in an exorbitant amount of time into those things. So, it's not, like I said, not everybody is going to make that level of commitment. And so I have a dilemma where I'm willing to make this big commitment. Most people aren't. And um, the fact that most people aren't making that commitment makes things harder for me because I don't get to be a content creator with 10 million subscribers. I get to be a content creator that celebrates having 1,000 subscribers because that's realistically the sort of traffic that an average Albion YouTuber might be able to expect. I'm not going to be at the top of the World of Warcraft charts. I'm not going to be at the top of the League of Legends charts. I'm not going to be at the top of the Pokemon charts, the Overwatch charts, the Marvel Rivals charts, etc., etc. I'm going to be kind of pigeonholed into this Albion stuff and stuck doing this. And as much as I'm happy to be that way, because, like I said, I'd rather not be doing anything else, I do have to grapple with the reality that this is not a very popular game, and it may stay that way. Um, so I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I'd be interested in furthering the discussion in the comment section. If you think maybe I'm wrong, maybe this game will become more successful over time, maybe this game will have a sequel that comes out that's really good, or something like that. But basically, the TLDR of my video here is saying I wish Albion was more popular so that I could enjoy Albion more by being an Albion content creator. And right now, the struggle is the fact that it's not very popular. And so creating content for it feels more and more like a waste of time, or at least an ineffective use of time, even though it's, the most enjoyable thing that I can think of to do. Um, I like the way my brain works is I get attached to a vision or an idea, and I don't want to let go of that idea. Like it might be 10 times better to play League of Legends as a content creator. It might be 20 times better. It might be 100 times better. But I don't enjoy League of Legends as much as I enjoy Albion because of the persistent world, the persistent economy, the larger numbers of team members you get to have in your small scale and large scale groups. I don't like just being stuck with 5v5 randoms. I don't like playing with random people. I don't like playing with people I don't know or trust. I don't like playing with incompetent people. I like to build out my team and train with my team and get really good with my team, and then go out and do outnumbered fights like 5 versus 8 or 8 versus 10 or 10 versus 15. Like I want that feeling of we are good at this, and I want the the execution of that to continue to scale into the 20s and the 30s and the 50s and the hundreds. And so in my vision of the future, I think I could see 100 people in my guild, and all of them are combat veterans, or the PvP veterans. They're all, sharpened and, wise and good with the game, and I can trust them. That would be so cool. And, you know, the only way to step closer to that is to try, right? Um, and I think, like, everybody's missing out on what this game could be because they're too distracted by what it is. Or they're too caught up in, oh, I don't want to lose my stuff. It's like your stuff is worthless anyway. Like, even tier 8.0 flat items are not very expensive. And so the gear fear and the anxiety and um, the panic about dying and losing your items is uh, sort of a collective psychological disorder. It's like I experience it too. I don't want to lose my items, even if it's tier 4. I still don't want to lose items. And so grappling with the psychology of that is probably one of the biggest challenges that Albion has. It's just, it doesn't do a very good job of teaching you that your gear is worthless. It doesn't do a good job of telling you that the gear that you have is so wildly replaceable that you might as well not worry about it at all. Because what ends up happening, at least in my experience, is you die, and first of all, you feel humiliated, you feel embarrassed. You go through this shame, this sense of grief, this anxiety of, oh no, it happened, you know. Then you go through the thought of, this other person's better than me, this person outplayed me, this person outsmarted me, this person's a jerk, this person attacked me even though I wasn't defending myself, this person, you know, chased me down even though I was running away. You know, it gives you this sense of, you know, the other people in this game are not very kind, and they're not very forgiving, and they're not very patient, and there's all sorts of negativity associated with death in PvP. Even though the gear is not worth anything, the silver that the person gains from you is so negligible that it may as well not exist at all. Um, the player that killed you is probably, like, in a realistic sense, if they have the time to be extremely good at this game, then they probably are making an unwise investment of their time. And so, you know, I have a certain sort of predisposition about people that play Albion, is that they don't know how to use their time more effectively. Um, so I kind of fall into that category myself. You know, if I could think of something better to do with my time, then I would be doing that. And by better, I mean simultaneously more valuable and also more entertaining for me. Um, I think there's only a handful of things that I can think of that I might enjoy better than, you know, spending time on Albion. So, you know, that's where I always end up. But I'm also cognizant of the fact that the average person that plays this game is, for lack of a better term, they don't have their life together. A lot of people don't have their lives together, but especially Albion players who go into black zones and kill random gatherers are not the cream of the crop. Um, so I guess I feel like I wish this wasn't such. I wish this wasn't such a bad environment. I wish there were more players. I wish more of the players were nicer people, better people. I don't know. I feel like no matter how much content I make on this game, I think I'll never be really satisfied. Um, because I have bigger ambitions than just being an Albion player posting Albion content, you know. Maybe if this was like the number one game in the world or something, then I would feel a little bit more of an oomph. You know, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it, let's go, let's go. You know, I'd be on this treadmill of, churning out as much content as I can because it is, making an impact. It's making a difference. It's not a waste, right? Um, I I don't really believe in such a thing as wasted time. That's why I'm avoiding saying it, because I do think that if you're getting value out of something, then it's getting you through the day, and getting through the day can be wildly important for many people. So if this game gets you through the day, great. I just wish more people were getting through their day with with Albion. That way, I would stand to profit more. I would stand to get more follows, more attention, more likes, more money. Um, and I guess I'm just disappointed that even though the game is 10 years old, a lot of people have tried it and a lot of people don't stick with it. So the fewer people that end up sticking with the game, the fewer people I have any sort of leverage over, because the the time that I put into it is not being as rewarded as it would be if there were more people that had a higher level of dedication to the experience. Um, so it's and I hesitate to think of that as a selfish thing, because like as much as I would be in it for the potential revenue, I would also stand on the position that the other people who try this game and give it a chance and stick with it for a while, those people are going to be benefiting from the kind of gameplay experience that I've benefited from, where I get to see my character make lots of progress, I get to see myself make lots of silver, um, I get to achieve mastery of my favorite builds in PvP. I get to join big guilds and 100 versus 100 player battles. I get to do faction wars. The list goes on and on and on of benefits that there are for, the long term hardcore player of Albion. Albion is a very hardcore game, and the appeal of being a hardcore player is not very well orchestrated by the Albion community. I think 99% of Albion players are casuals, which is nothing. There's nothing wrong with being casual, but I think more people could consider being a little bit, more thirsty for the adventure. I guess I don't know. Um, for example, I introduced this game to a family member recently, and they played for literally like 5 or 10 minutes, and they put it down and never touched it again. Um, and I think that's a shame. I think the game deserves better than that, and I don't think that most people realize it. So, um, I remember feeling this way about other games in the past. When I was a Ragnarok Online player, I remember feeling that way. I realized that, Ragnarok has really solid mechanics. Like, it has really good gameplay. It's click to move, isometric perspective, just like Diablo. The items are good. The items matter. The PvP is good. Every class has an important role to play. The list of positives goes on and on. And even though I've played plenty of action RPGs and theme park MMOs, I always go back to Ragnarok every once in a while because of how good of a game it was at its foundation. And it's a shame that that game died because, the developers got greedy, the developers got lazy, the developers just wanted to, milk the game for all that for all that they could get. And I don't see the same sorts of choices being made on Albion, right? I see, yes, the premium status is a little bit overpowered. The gold buying is a little bit unfair to people who don't have money. Actually, it's a lot unfair to people who don't have money, but um, the fact that you can reach 8.3 gear max spec as a free player technically makes it okay, I think. It's just, you know, you're going to be spending a very long time getting to tier 8 and then getting enough silver to risk 8.3. And it's going to be very difficult to do that without premium. But the possibility is there. And, you know, to the right psychotic, crazy person with probably autism, they can do it. But like I said, I don't know if that's necessarily the wisest use of someone's time. You know, I've been talking about this for 25 minutes now, and I still don't know whether Albion is worth your time or not. It is for me because I enjoy the silver grind and the gathering grind and the PvP grind and all the grinding that you do on here. Because I think it can it can benefit other people when I have to. Like, if I join a guild and that guild needs me to do a specific thing or play a specific role, then my character is equipped to do that. I have, just as an example, I have every mace at level 100. I have every holy staff at level 100. I have every nature staff at level 100. So my character is well equipped enough to fill any role in a group setting, right? And so, you know, I've done the work on building myself up, and I've done the work on my economy, and I've done the work on crafting, refining, using my focus points every day. And I'm getting the full experience of Albion, and I'm enjoying myself. You know, like I said many times in this video, I just wish more people were like that. Even though I can't say with any degree of certainty that effort is wisely placed, I think maybe there are better ways to use your time. I certainly don't disparage myself for is that the right word, disparage? We'll look that up. I wouldn't disparage myself to criticize myself. Yeah. I wouldn't treat myself that way just for enjoying this game. I don't know. Yeah. I guess if you really wanted to boil my entire video into 2 sentences, I would say I wish there were more players on Albion so that I could make more money as a content creator. So, that entire ramble, 27 minutes. Yeah, you know, that's going to be the video. I'm going to call it something like struggles, talking about my struggles as an Albion creator. I think that's good. All right. Well, if you've made it this far, I want to thank you for watching. Remember to hit the like button. Always good to have a reminder of that. Remember to subscribe if you haven't. And I will be back with more next time.